There is a whole galaxy.
We want to know.
Are people right?
From the creators of American in Yerevan, Ina MK.
And Stephen Oxner.
Homesick.
At home.
Have you ever felt that way?
Shot City. I'm coming home again.
Good evening, dear listeners of Radio 1 103.0. It is Friday night again, and we are here in our cozy studio with Rafi Petrosyan.
And the lovely Ina MK.
Thank you. How have you been for this past week, Rafi?
I've been struggling. It's winter, it's cold.
We all are.
I can't wait till spring starts. But I've been busy doing a few other things. I've been going to this rock climbing gym. It's called Boulder Town, and I'll put a link. Or if you guys want to find it on Facebook, it's Boulder Boulder space TOWN. You can find it on Facebook, and I've been climbing a lot. And actually,
how's your back?
and I don't know if it's related to that or not, but
by the way,
but yeah, my back hurts. I'm out of commission right now. And Nina, what about yourself? What have you been up to?
Well, I've been working on a very important song lyrics project, so I keep my fingers crossed. If that works for me, that would be a really good thing.
Ooh.
But I'm not going to reveal that secret.
So you have to be secretive about it? Because
yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, maybe in a couple of days you'll know about it.
No, how about a little clue? Could we get it?
International format.
Oh,
that's all. That's all for now.
Exciting.
But
we had a meeting today.
Yes.
Ian and I went over to the Repat offices, and which is in Impact Hub, which is like this shared workspace they have over there. And we started explaining about our show and what we do over here. And we were explaining that we were talking about the guest that we're going to have tonight. And small Yerevan, as it is, the person I was speaking with was like, he's right behind you, right there. So even though we haven't met before, we didn't meet before, but then we did then. And then now we get to find out more about our guest.
So, dear listeners of Radio Van, this is our Friday night evening show, English-speaking show, Homesick at Home. And, of course, we're not alone here in our studio tonight. We have a wonderful guest, IT technology guru, sport lover, PR specialist, TV host, model, actor, entrepreneur.
Armin. We cut the list short for you guys.
Yeah, and much more. Armin Saidi. Armin?
Something like that.
So your name, how do we pronounce it?
Just because I want to, I'm sorry, but it's written...
We won't let him talk to you.
It's spelled a little bit differently than it's pronounced.
Absolutely. So, it is Armin. I do come from Montreal, so a French-speaking area. And my parents, for some reason, decided to put an E at the end. But considering that in French the E is silent, it was never really an issue until I came to Armenia. So... I had to change my name here, so I removed the E at the end, and on my business cards here, it's Armin without the E.
Right, because with the E, it would be Armine, which is like a traditional...
Which is a woman's name.
Absolutely.
So, did you have any funny experiences?
Oh my God, many. Actually, the first time I came to Yerevan, when I went to get my visa, this was actually quite funny. So I show my passport, and you have two gentlemen sitting behind the desk, and they take my passport. And the guy that has the passport, looks at his buddy sideways. Iranuna Armenia. Why, it's Akchikchi. And then I say, no, Akchikchem. So the whole
wonder of nature.
Yeah, so right away I felt welcome.
What a great welcome. Yeah.
And then right after, when I went to the passport control, and this was the second funny part, is the lovely lady takes my passport and she looks at it and she goes, my name is Armin too.
No way. Well, that's a really nice welcome indeed.
Yeah, and then it continued throughout the time I was here. Whenever I would send emails and to have meetings and meet people, I would show up and I would say hello, and they would still be waiting for someone because they thought a female should show up. So
So where is Armin?
Right.
Exactly.
And who's this guy?
Did you have to change any documents in Armenia?
No,
Because
no, not at all. The only thing I did was on my business cards, I removed the E.
yeah.
And on even my email signature, I did the same thing. So
Yeah.
that was it.
Are you a citizen here now, or?
No, I'm looking to become a citizen.
Uh-huh.
I just haven't had time to go through this. I had a temporary residency.
Right.
And the past year, actually, I've been traveling so much, I haven't had time to just focus and take care of that. But originally, when I came here, we were supposed to stay about a month or two, set up the company here, and then go back. But I fell in love with this city and this country, and it's been about 2 years. And I travel a lot, but I call Yerevan home.
Very nice.
Oh.
Well,
He
it connects
answered
to our
all
show.
the questions.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is all for tonight. Okay. I think Rafi and I really want to know your background, your Armenian roots, connections.
Yeah. So what is the Armenian Connection?
Okay.
And
So,
why Armenia?
pardon?
Why are you here?
Okay, so the Armenian story is my mom's Armenian. Both my parents are from Iran, but my mother's Armenian. And they left a long time ago to Canada, where my sister and I were born and raised, in fact. And the first language I learned was Armenian, so with my mother speaking as a child. And why Armenia? Well, we started a company a few years ago, and we ended up finding investors from London, but that are based in Yerevan. So there's the first VC fund called Granatus Ventures. And at one point, they were very...
What's a VC fund?
venture capitalists.
Ah, okay.
So,
Now we know.
yeah, so the people that fund dreams and, expect a return eventually. But no, we met these great guys in London that... The Granatus Ventures is based in Yerevan, has offices in Singapore and London. And at a point, it sort of became a bit serious. They were very interested in us, so they invited us to visit Armenia, and with the hopes that we would, open a division here or do something. And the interesting part is this is my fourth company in tech, and I've always hired developers from Armenia. So even up to 10 years ago, I knew that, or through friends, I knew that the talent here is phenomenal. So every single product or company I had in the past 10 years, I always had someone from here that worked on it.
Wow.
But this was the first time that we actually came here and decided that we're going to open up an office.
Mm-hmm.
So we came here for 4 days. I brought one of my co-founders, David, who is French, Portuguese. I have another founder, Sharat, is Sri Lankan. So I convinced them that I think it would be a good idea to come to Armenia and set up our division here and see what we can do. And again, we were supposed to come here for about 2 months, hire, get the office space, set up everything, go back and forth nonstop. But even myself and David have been here for 2 years, and it's been a life-changing experience.
Wow.
So now we want to hear the story how in love you are in Armenia with.
I'm sorry?
How in love you are with Armenia.
Okay, so before my experience...
The standard question.
Yeah, of course. So before my experience with the visa officers, as soon as I got out of the plane, as we were walking towards the main hall, there was a big sign that says, "Welcome to Armenia." And when I read that, somehow I felt something in me, something strange. And I turned around to David and I said, "I think I'm home." And it was something that I had never felt before.
Were you always raised with those kind of patriotic ideas, though?
Not at all. Not on the Armenian side. I was born and raised, obviously in Montreal, but raised more in a Persian family. The friends, or the Armenian friends I had, were either Egyptian Armenian, Syrian Armenian, and their language I never really understood. So I figured at a certain point, I don't know this language, I'm not really Armenian, and I'm not part of this culture. And the only person I used to speak Armenian with was my mother. So I have very basic knowledge.
So is your Armenian Western?
Yeah. So this is what happened. But the rest of my life, all my friends, a lot of the family members were more on the Persian side. So I grew up in a Persian family.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't until I got here, and so for the four days that we were here, after the second day, I called my mother to tell her, "Mom, She goes, "What's wrong?" I go, "No, nothing."
Always mother's first response.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And she goes, "Well, what?" I go, "I'm Armenian."
I'm
She's
staying.
like, "Of course you're Armenian." So this was a realization for myself that there's a whole part of me that I didn't know, and started discovering it while I was here. And there's something magical about this country.
The call of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I mean, my father said that it's something in your genes. You know, whether you were raised to be
I
Armenian.
mean, genes.
In those genes, we'll get back to those.
Oh God.
Sorry to interrupt you guys, but we need to go for a little break, and we'll come back, of course, with all the interesting questions about the genes.
The genes and the genes.
Stay tuned. It's 103.0 with our evening show, Homesick at Home.
Radio at home.
Yes, and by the way, hello from Armenia to Steven. Hope you're doing fine. Of course, we miss you,
Yeah.
and we're enjoying our shows with Rafi
Yep, I'm happy to be here, Stephen. Happy to fill your shoes as much as I can.
and jeans.
And jeans.
I see
The
this one
reoccurring
coming.
theme.
God.
Oh,
Where did we
how
leave off?
are you? How are you, Armin?
I'm well. I have to say you guys are awesome and making me feel very comfortable. And at the same
And
time,
of
I have
course,
a feeling...
wine helps.
Yeah, wine helps. So
Cheers.
cheers.
Thank you,
Oh,
sir.
Thank
Pleasure,
you.
pleasure,
Thanks,
pleasure, pleasure,
thanks
pleasure,
for the
pleasure,
wine. We're
pleasure.
enjoying it tonight. We have a very, very, very awesome guest.
Yes, you do. Quite modest, too.
PR.
Yeah, right.
Here speaks the PR manager. Well, there's a joke
Uh-oh.
that Armenians are actually 3 million Napoleons.
I see.
Have you heard?
No, I haven't.
But you get the point,
I think
right?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Managing our individualists, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. No, I get
Nature.
it. I totally get it.
Yeah, and the size, the height, I
Yeah.
think is why they're called
Thank
Napoleons
you,
as
thank
well.
you, Rafi John. It's so easy to speak when you're so tall and handsome. Well, okay,
Oh.
let's go back to the point.
Something's happening here.
You've mentioned in your bio that you're very passionate about team building and turning ideas into reality. So teamwork approach. This is something that is developing here in Armenia for a moment, I think. What is your experience here connected to teamwork? Did you have any difficulties dealing with our Napoleons?
In the nation of Napoleons, you know, working together.
In the PR sense, it was slightly challenging in the beginning, but I think it's just a question of it's a different mindset, different cultures, different expectations. And in our particular case, when we first arrived, we obviously came with the mentality of our experience, whether it was North American or European, and certain expectations. And very soon we found out that it was very different, and we had to adjust to it. So the teamwork is always there. I think that's not there, but it's more how do we align ourselves to go in the right formation and go in the right direction. And this was what was a bit challenging, and it took a bit of time.
Right.
So
So what's like is it just communication that we're talking about here, or how do we get everyone on the same page when you're trying to do a business, you know?
Well, you know,
Yes,
we're
how
still
do we?
trying to discover that. No, I have to say, I have to give a shout out to our team. You guys rock. We love you. I'm
Hellos from Radio Van.
Hi.
Yes, hello guys.
Ycaster team. I think we're very lucky. We found a bunch of passionate people that believe in what we're doing. And what we're doing is not very common either. We're going in a very different way to do some very interesting things. But when we first arrived, we found the first 6 hires that we had, great guys, smart people. With some of them, we had a bit of difficulties. But what we realized is the main challenge we had is everything we asked or said, they would say yes. They weren't able to say no, they don't understand, or by fear, or just didn't care. We didn't know. So David and I would look at each other and high five. Wow, this is going to be easier than we thought.
The Napoleon thing.
Yeah. So soon after that, we started realizing that they were just not used to saying no or talking back to us or anything. So we tried to have a lot of discussions. I did something silly. I started doing these motivational posters all over the place. And one of them was, "It's okay to say no." Another one was, "Ask questions." So trying to have discussions with them. And it was really, we sat them down and we said, we're a transparent company. What happens, good or bad, you'll know. We want the same from you, and let's try to build something from it. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so it wasn't easy, but I'm very happy to say that 2 years later, the team is incredible. We're probably going to grow in the next months as well. We're just waiting. We hired a bunch of people recently, and we're waiting for everyone to gel together, and then we're going to start hiring again, probably towards the summer. But it was challenging. But this is part of being in business and being an entrepreneur. Nothing is easy, and you just have to be able to roll up your sleeves and attack.
So you're a perpetual entrepreneur. Yeah, I mean, I was
something like that. Yeah.
Sounds like you're always looking to get something started. You see a niche, perhaps, and you're going with it. But before we touch on those, can you tell us a little bit more about what the company that you have here actually is? What's the name of it, and what are you guys doing?
Absolutely. So the company is called Ycaster, and our mission is to connect the world. So even in 2017, there's over 4 billion people that are left without connectivity or access to any type of relevant information that could empower them. So we started this technology platform that allows people to be able to provide access to content, connectivity in a very simple and affordable way. So this is what we've done, and it's based on a device that creates its own little networks practically anywhere. We don't necessarily depend on the internet or even a mobile network to be able to access content or information. So we're building the offline internet.
Mm. Mm-hmm. I'm not a tech person. Let me just start off by saying that. But an offline internet, so you can be somewhere that's not connected to the internet and still access the internet?
No, it's access information or content that could be relevant to where you are. So, for example, you can be in the middle of the desert, no connectivity, etc. You can put one of our devices, but the device could have content in it. It could have a website. It can have a voice over IP system like a Skype or something. It could have video, audio, etc. And when you turn on that device, it will broadcast that content to anyone in proximity.
Okay.
So all you need is a smart device, a Wi-Fi enabled device to connect to it, and through your browser you'll have access to the content. And if I could make a parallel, and this is where the idea of Ycaster came from, if you remember in the 60s, pirate radios in the UK. So the whole story was...
I wasn't around, but I've heard of it.
No, neither was I. But rock and pop was sort of illegal in those times to be played in the radio. And some very smart entrepreneurs would go in international waters and from their boats broadcast to the shore.
Right.
So I saw that movie and a few other things that had happened, and it gave us an idea to be able to do something similar, but rather than having a big boat, it was a small little device that can replicate this.
Wow.
And that eventually grew into the company today. So we came from more of a humanitarian side. And then if you look at what happened in the past, 7-10 years in regards to the issues in certain countries where governments would shut down networks, and whether it's in Egypt, Iran, Syria, etc.
So all of a sudden, these people who are connected to each other online or using the computer lose it all.
So
right?
the connectivity would drop, and you're left with a device that could not do anything.
Yeah.
So putting all these things together, we realized, could there be room to provide a way for people to either communicate with each other, access content that would either help them or empower them with something. So that's how everything got started. But then the humanitarian side is still there. It's part of our core, let's say, part of the business. But then the same technology is being used in various ways. So it's being used in transport, a new type of in-flight entertainment system, for example, something that is much more affordable and lightweight. We're using this in retail, providing exclusive content for brands to engage consumers. Emerging markets is very important for us as well. So we're trying to provide technology. So, for example, in Armenia, there's 3 villages that have our technology set up.
Really?
And what we're doing is we're building, as I mentioned, the offline type of internet. But what we're doing is we have, like in one village, 12 devices scattered across the village, community center, clinic, schools, mayor's office, etc. And one device is connected to the web to fetch content, and that one device will spread it to the rest.
Wow.
So this is what we were wondering, whether it works for the villages or not. Remember?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were reading about it and wondering what kind of application it could have here in Armenia.
And we have more interesting questions, but after we go on a break. Stay tuned. We are here tonight with Armin Saadi at our evening show, Homesick at Home.
Radio.
So I embrace whatever there has been. Inhale the smell of your skin. And then I realized that this was the beginning of love.
And yes, we had a very interesting conversation between our breaks.
Yeah, which you can see online, but not here.
Yeah.
So you'll see our hands moving. You know,
Oh, really?
we're having
Now
a
you
great
tell me.
conversation.
Even taking pictures. We're back in our studio with interesting guests, Armin. And I have a question. May I?
Please, Ina.
I was reading that the place where you come from is famous for its sunsets.
Yes.
Do you miss those sunsets?
Well, okay, so the place where I'm born is where they have the most beautiful, apparently top 5 sunsets in the world. However,
I always wonder whose job it is. Who's the one out there evaluating sunsets?
right.
You know, that's
so this was National Geographic's.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, now we know.
Yeah.
He has all the answers.
I just picture one person every night going to a different location. You know.
But the truth is, I was 6 months old when we left that area and we went to Montreal. So I don't particularly
Don't
miss
remember.
it because I don't really know it. But I do miss Montreal. I miss my family. All my friends are there. Hello, which camera can I look at? Mom, Dad,
we
Priscilla.
We actually
Right
never
there.
know. Yeah, there's one
Okay,
right
so
here.
to all the
Hello,
family
Armin's
members, Mom,
family.
Dad,
Yes.
Priscilla, Andre, Natasha,
Warm hellos from
Alex.
Yerevan, Radio Van.
So yeah, I do miss Montreal. I was born and raised there. I was there until the age of 35, 36, and then I started traveling the world. And
Well, your geography is quite big, actually. This is what I was going to ask. Montreal, San Francisco, London, Cambridge, Florence, Oxford, Yerevan, and Berlin.
Yeah,
Berlin is the latest one, so it's quite exciting.
it's like where in the world
Yeah.
is Armin right now?
So can we say that you have that many homes?
I have one home right now, and it's here. And I've mentioned I love this place, but it's just a question of we're trying to do something very positive with this business that we have, and it's taking us in different locations. Luckily, meeting great people, and right now the latest one is Berlin, and with I think you had one of your guests a while back, Edward Binder.
Yeah.
Myself and Edward are gonna sort
Thanks
of
to him for introducing.
absolutely,
Us to you.
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you,
So
Edward.
cheers to Edward.
Edward, this one's for you.
The wine, another wine person.
The one person, yeah. So
A little pause.
That's us sipping.
Yeah.
One drink.
So Berlin is the latest little adventure that we have. Oddly enough, I was there maybe 15, 16 years ago, and for some reason I knew I was going to come back and do something there, and I hadn't been back since then. So it's quite refreshing to go there, and it's such a dynamic city. I don't know if you've been or not, but for technology, it's becoming one of the hotbeds or hotspots for like a tech center, and it's quite international, so you get away without necessarily having to speak German, so it helps.
But you do speak a little bit.
Ein bisschen, yeah. Just, I dated a German girl for 8 years, so I happened to learn long time ago.
That's
long time ago.
fantastic. Well, Rafi and I tonight we're reading all these leadership quotes and trying to find one that is
Oh, God.
that we could read out loud. But we eventually decided to ask you, what is your slogan or definition as a visionary leader, as you mentioned in your bio, and then later when we can speak about you being a leader of your staff and maybe.
So the
it's like-
motto that I live by is one that I've learned in one of the early jobs that I had, and it's persistence wears down resistance. And don't give up. Just go until you figure things out. You may not have all the answers, but don't give up. And that's what I've been living by for the past about 25 years. I learned this at a first tech company that I worked. In fact, they were Armenian Persians running a company, a very successful company. I was the 7th employee. When I left, we were 150, and it was fascinating how they started this with nothing, and they just kept on going and going and going. And they installed this drive in us as well. So a lot of us eventually left and started our own little businesses with the same mentality. So it was quite interesting. So that's what I've sort of believed in. But at the same time, and if they're listening, they were a bit bad with us. So I learned a lot from them, and mainly...
How could you? With this amazing person. Yeah,
no, but it was... I learned what not to do. And how to respect people and
right. So you get to benefit from someone else's mistakes.
Exactly. And over my career, I still do plenty of mistakes, and I think it's fine as long as you realize you're humble about them. You can accept that you've done a mistake, maybe apologize once in a while when you do something, and this is what we're actually doing with our company. I often have discussions with the team. And I keep on telling them the word transparency is key. So we don't hide anything from them. We don't want them to hide anything from us. We want total trust. If we're in trouble, they'll know. If they're in trouble, we'd like to know. And I think that's what helps build this unity within a team, and it keeps things fun and exciting.
I mean, it's quite a radical idea, though, isn't it? Transparency. This idea that everything's open, everyone kind of knows what's going on. It's not a top-down kind of hierarchy, right?
I often tell my colleagues, I call them colleagues. They're not necessarily, I don't think of them as employees, but when they introduce me, I don't want to introduce me as the Deloren or the boss. Yeah. I'm a colleague.
Chef.
That's it. So, and they're uncomfortable with that. They're very uncomfortable with that. And I keep on saying, no, I'm your colleague. It's very simple. So
you're breaking the Armenian stereotypes, that's for sure.
We're doing our best, whatever it is. But the reality, it's not only me. My business partners, so David, French-Portuguese, Sharat, Sri Lankan, that lives in Montreal, we all have more or less the same mentality, the same type of background, and we somehow found each other and somehow started this business, and it's fun to see like-minded people, and I think we're trying to spread this type of mentality to others, and hopefully they don't think we're too crazy and follow what we're doing, and we will have some sort of success at the end.
I think to be crazy is the most important things.
And that I am.
Yeah.
In work. It's boring if you're not crazy.
Right, and so crazy that you don't know you're crazy is even better, you know?
Well, it seems like you've done a lot of startups, and you've probably had a lot of failures along the way. Besides,
definitely.
Besides learning from others' mistakes, as you mentioned before, what did you learn from those experiences?
It has to do with the whole persistence thing. So if something bad happens, fine, deal with it and just move on. And it's easy to say, at least for me now, after having many failures in different, whether it's personal, family, relationships, etc. But there's nothing wrong with failing. If you're okay with it, just get up and go towards the next goal and
don't give up.
That's it.
Right.
Again, persistence is the key word for us. We've been through
your
hell.
horoscope sign? Oh, excuse me.
Sorry.
What's your horoscope sign?
I am a Pisces.
Oh.
What does that mean? I mean, I know what a Pisces is, but what is that?
I'm a fish, yeah.
But what does that translate to, like, personality-wise? You know?
Too good to be true.
Yeah, is that right?
No comment. No.
Extremely modest.
No, it's normally the sign is two fish swimming in different directions. So slightly confused, a bit in La La Land often. That needs to be grounded once in a while.
Is that confrontational as well? The two fish
No. It's just I go there, you go there.
Okay.
That's the thing. So yeah, I'm a Pisces.
Yeah. So these ideas with business that you have here, I mean, it's really refreshing to hear people have these very positive stories about not only starting a business here, but finding local talent that's on the same page that you are.
I'm blown away by the talent here. And I'm just upset that there's not much more of it. Meaning in technology, there's a limited pool of people, and there's a lot of competition company-wise to have them come work for you.
Are you speaking here in Armenia specifically?
In Armenia in particular, yeah, absolutely. So we're constantly looking for people. It's not as if we sit down and say, okay, we're going to start looking for a set of developers. We're doing interviews on a regular basis. Even if we're not going to hire, we just want to make sure we find the right people that eventually we can reach out and hopefully convince somehow to come and join our company. And as the company is progressing, I think we're starting to have a good reputation and people are coming towards us. And if there's any developers out there, you can send us emails at hello@ycaster.com and we'll gladly meet with you and sit down, have a coffee and see if there's room for you with us eventually.
So what are some of the kind of skills? What are the things that you're looking for in your employees? Or what are the employees that you have now that are part of your team that you just, what is it that you guys love about them?
Craziness.
Is it that craziness?
There is a bit of craziness.
Persistence? Are they following the persistence rule?
Absolutely. So in that aspect, we're fully satisfied. We're looking for people that are team players. There's a lot of individualistic mindset here, but team players that are willing to do the extra effort if it's required. It's not mandatory, but you need to feel the vibe of the company and go with it. And it's very difficult to find. And when we do, we just try to make sure that we keep them, give them as much love as we can, and take care of them. And hopefully they'll maybe do things on their own eventually and learn things that was positive from us and not have the misfortune I had to learn the negatives and say, okay, I'm not going to do that. And try to bring something great. And the talent here is phenomenal. Like, I'm blown away. Absolutely.
And what if somebody comes to you and says, okay, I don't understand really anything in technologies, but I want to learn and I want to work in your company. Will that work?
It could potentially work. And it has to do...
trainings or...
We're a bit too small to be able to do that yet, but that's the vision and the mentality that we hopefully see going towards. We're a startup, small budget, pre-revenue, so we need to focus on taking the company to a certain level, and then at that point, we will try to give back as much as we can to the community. So I'm helping a lot differently. I'm helping entrepreneurs here, trying to... I get emails, can you verify this? Can you help me this? Can I have 5 minutes, etc.? And so many people have helped me, so I try to give back. And the same thing with David and Sharad as well. So I'm the one sitting here talking as if I'm the only one doing this. But no, it's really phenomenal team. And we actually have someone that was sort of in that situation, and it's turning out to be great. So hopefully we'll have more.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rafi and I... saw that you're somewhat connected to music, and we hope that now you feel kind of like at another home here in our studio.
Is being in a recording studio kind of like another one of your homes, right?
A recording studio, actually, yeah. So how do I start? So at one point, I was a DJ at one point, and that's actually not a
that was not on the bio. This is a sneak. This is
not
a surprise
a professional one, but I
DJ Armin.
There we go.
What kind of music was it?
It was back then electro house and trance and
nice.
Totally. So I went to this rave. I think it was 1997. Went there. My friends called me. I started walking around, and I was totally weirded out by what I was hearing and what I was seeing. And it wasn't my scene at all. But when I left that night, these beats started playing in my head nonstop. And the next morning I woke up and I said, okay, I like this. So I saved a bit of money, bought myself the equipment, and I tried to see how to do this mixing stuff. And I fell in love with it as well. But eventually that led to me to understand. So I was doing parties, doing promotions with friends, and I started realizing that I like more the promotion aspect of getting people somewhere, getting them excited, rather than being the sole guy doing the atmosphere or playing the music, etc.
Oh, when you say so, I'm thinking when you say DJ, you're like more kind of like events, like an MC kind of.
No, not an MC. DJ mixing music.
In the club?
Not clubs. I've done clubs, but it was mainly parties that we used to throw.
Right. Okay.
So at one point, I was sort of a promoter with a few friends. We did some parties, and I love that music. To this day, I went running. After I saw you guys this afternoon, I went for a run. It was sunny finally, so I went for a run and I was listening to
One
drum
of your
and bass.
mixes.
Sorry?
One of your mixes.
No. It's a DJ from the US, Justin Martin. So I was listening to drum and bass, which is very active music, and it just pumps me up while I run. So I started off with then DJ mixing. Nothing professional. It was never the point. We enjoyed it. We loved to do parties, etc. And slowly but surely, I started seeing that there was a lack for artists or they didn't know how to promote themselves. And this is where I got involved. And eventually, one thing led to another where with David, one of my partners, we launched this music platform called Vinyl, with two I's, VIINYL. And it was a promotional tool that allowed artists to build a website for each song that they had or video. And it was something that you could put online automatically and be able to access social media and promote things online. So this was a big lag in the industry. And when we launched this was at the end of December 2010. Within 2 months, we were known as one of the top 10 music startups.
Wow.
In the music world. But this was also at the same time that we were thinking of Ycaster. So we were in a situation, like, what do? We have this great startup. It's there. And then we have another thing that is unknown, but potentially could be much bigger. Mm-hmm. So to this day, this vinyl service is still on. We have maybe about 50,000 artists. We get about 50 artists a day signing up. We don't do any promotions, nothing. It's all word of mouth. And it's a gift. It's free. People can sign up and use the promotional vehicle to hopefully get some fans out there.
And say it again, it was with two I's, right?
Yeah, Vinyl. So a regular Vinyl, VIINYL.com.
Nice.
A person that you have to discover and discover and discover. Our
Right.
guest,
Yeah,
Armin.
like an onion, right? So many layers.
Yep.
And eventually we'll start crying, right?
French, English, Farsi, Armenian, functional German, as you mentioned. Which language do you think in?
Good question. So up to maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was thinking in French. And then, so I went to elementary school, high school in French, initially university in French, and then I switched to English. And then when I switched to English, my whole mindset changed as well. So most of my life now, let's say adult life has been in English, and I find myself thinking in Armenian while I've been here once in a while. So
Wow.
it's strange. And I just pause. I'm like, oh my God, did I just have this thought process? So there's a lot of interesting changes going on in me right now. So and it has to do with this country, the people around it, the people I meet. I fell in love with this place.
Yeah.
I had no expectations whatsoever.
And this place loves you back.
Yay!
Extreme sports. We keep discovering the person. Extreme sports.
Parachuting,
Uh-huh.
Skydiving.
mountain biking, a bunch of crazy. So when I was a bit younger, okay, put it this way: growing up, my father's a ex-surgeon, and at the hospital they knew me very well because
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
No, just put it this way: I was at the hospital at least once a month
knew
for
that
something.
you had
Right.
the surgery to become like Tom Hanks. I knew that.
Thank you. No, I broke every almost.
Yeah, you
bone
weren't
I
just
had.
coming by to say hi. then.
Yeah. So I didn't think. I just did things, and sometimes it hurt, and sometimes I ended up in the hospital. Knock on wood, nothing major ever, but whenever I would go to the hospital, little Armin is back, and they were quite happy to see me. And
You have your own personal room with a plaque on it.
Almost. I was quite a little devil. Yeah, my poor parents. I must have put them through hell. My mom especially.
Which is why when you called her, she said, "What's wrong?" Right?
Exactly. Absolutely. And I can just say one small little thing as well. Not only forget extreme sports, just extreme kid to begin with. When we would go to the shopping center near our home, as we entered the store, the security guard would tell my mom, "You're going to be careful with little Armin today." And within 2 seconds, I would disappear.
if you can't do all these things in Armenia, well, can you?
I did.
If you
There is, but now I'm a bit older and a bit. I'm not as wild as I used to be, and I'm a bit, I think differently.
Did Armenia make this?
No.
to you? What did they do to
Eventually,
you?
you have to mature up and realize that not everything should be done. But I did do the zip lines here in Apaka, the Apaka Resort.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most extreme
Yeah,
thing
that's
I've done, and I'd love to do the gliding thing, the paragliding.
Paragliding.
Yeah. So that could be another one that I try potentially, but we'll see.
Are the other things available? I haven't seen skydiving here in Armenia, but
I haven't looked. I don't know. I'm sure it is. I did scuba diving. I got my certification
In Lake Sevan?
in Sevan, actually. So part of it was at the Gold's Gym in Komitas.
Right.
And then we went to Lake Sevan, and that was actually quite funny because there's not much marine life in Lake Sevan. So our professor, while we're diving, he actually hid things and put things underwater so you get to see something.
No, he would hide stuff in there.
Well, he planted things. So you're going, and then suddenly he points the finger towards a direction, and you see a Kalashnikov.
Who'd have thunk it? There's a Kalashnikov down here.
So very little or none of marine life. I saw crawfish. I didn't see a fish or anything. But
Really? What's visibility like down there? Is it
where we went was great. Absolutely transparent. It was beautiful. I have pictures of that area. You feel like you're in the Bermudas. Gorgeous.
Ina, do you know, I think I was reading somewhere there used to be an old village that they found down there, or remnants of a church. Is this true? Or am I just talking falsely now?
I can't hear you.
Okay.
No, I can't think of anything at the
I
moment.
could have sworn I read this somewhere, but maybe it was a mistake. All right.
We'll Google it.
Yeah.
Right after the show.
During the break, we'll Google it and get back to you guys.
You mentioned that you love running. Do you have do you get the strange looks here?
Oh
while
my God!
doing
Yeah,
that?
this is part of the stories. Oh yeah.
Because Rafi's friend got bitten by a dog.
Yeah, because
when he was running.
no one's running here, and so if you
Even
start
the
running,
dog.
someone's thinking like, who did this guy steal from? Well, what's he doing? Why is he
it's
running?
worse. When I went running today, I have this pink fluorescent cap and yellow fluorescent gloves. And,
If you're gonna go, if you're gonna be a spectacle, go all out. Yeah.
So the first time, when we came for those 4 days, we arrived at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's typical flights that you have here. I woke up around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said, I need to go for a run. And thinking that it's something that people do here. But I soon found out by the way everyone was looking at me, it's not.
Yeah.
So it was just this weird person running around. And what I love about running is it's one of the only times that I can completely disconnect. I have my music.
I totally agree.
And it's you're in your own bubble, and at the same time I like to run a different route every time just to discover things around me. So it's a slower pace than driving around, and you get to see things and people, and it's fun.
Are you going in the city more, or do you find kind of you start in the city and then maybe go out into the
Yeah, I
back
go in
roads?
the city. I go mainly in the city, and sometimes I go near the Zov. Where's it? What's it called?
Zov.
Yeah,
The gorge.
the gorge. Yeah,
I think Rafi
that's where I
wants
go.
to join you. That's why he's asking.
let's do it.
Yeah. Well, once my back gets better, I'll be there.
Maybe
I
it
have
will
someone
get
that could
better.
help you take care of that back.
Yeah.
I found this lady, Homesick, and she rocks. She has magic hands. And
That's what I need. I need the magic
no,
hands.
seriously.
Hello,
Within 2
Homesick.
seconds, she will pinpoint where it hurts and look at you and say, "It's okay, I'll fix it."
Without touching.
Then
She'll
she'll have to
just like,
touch. She'll have to touch,
and
but
it's done.
Okay, Buffalo Jeans commercial.
oh boy,
This is the moment. 1998, by the way.
yeah. So somehow,
The question is, what kind of assets led you to modeling for jeans?
So okay, I want to clear things out. I was not a model for jeans by far. My friend was the one actually doing the commercial. She was the one producing the commercial, and she called me. She said, "We need some people. Come. We're not going to pay you. Just come." And they had a real model there. She was the one wearing the jeans. It's a brand called Buffalo Jeans. So she was the one totally decked out in the brand, and we were just in the background. And but I started liking this whole production vibe and scene, etc. So I got involved slowly but surely. I took some acting classes. And the interesting thing about the acting classes led to me to become a better business person.
Really?
So initially, I'm a creative person. I'm a business mindset, but
I can tell.
I used to be very creative, and I should not have been a businessman. So I created a role to become a businessman, and eventually I sort of became that role. So you dive into it somehow.
Interesting.
That's an interesting way to.
And it all started with just appearing as the backstage guy.
Absolutely,
in a
absolutely.
commercial.
And then I went for I took classes, acting classes, and just for fun, I would go for auditions, and once in a while, I would get parts. So I was like, cool.
You see, Tom Hanks is there. For sure.
Oh yeah, and that is reference because Armin does kind of look like Tom Hanks. I don't know if you guys can see.
I'm gonna get an autograph, okay? If you don't.
With
mind.
pleasure,
Yeah.
with pleasure.
You guys can see it online, I'm sure. Whoever you are. Yeah.
A president and owner, printing company, sales executive, marketing and public relations, co-founder and CEO, Ycaster. Is that correct? That I'm pronouncing it. Technology. All of this has fit in one pair of jeans.
The buffalo.
They weren't buffalo jeans. They were my own jeans.
Okay, with so many talents and interests.
Oh, God.
How do you choose? How do you focus on where life takes you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that's been the challenge. I'm one that I find there's signs around me, and I try to go towards them. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, we'll try something else. So somehow it led to me starting this company, coming to Armenia. My co-founders and I are going through drastic changes, all positive. Armenia has been fantastic for us. So I think the good thing about myself and my co-founders is we're very open to new ideas, new concepts, new experiences. And when you're like that, it helps to go in a direction that I think you're supposed to go or you're meant to be. So
instance,
looking backwards, it seems that I had my life all figured out, but that's not the case at all. Big zero.
That's nice to hear because I feel that way too, you know?
Rafi, do you think that Armin would have any acting plans here in Armenia? Because you have some actings here, right?
Yeah, and in a similar way,
offers.
I kind of fell into it as well, you know? Like I was just...
If you miss acting, just ask Rafi.
What I love about acting is you get to play.
Yeah.
Right,
You
right.
can be anything you want. And
Yeah. Like now, Rafi, be a king
There
and
you
yell
go.
at that imaginary soldier over there and
king
throw
right
your
now.
sword in the air. Oh yeah, I can do that.
Would you do that?
Right now, I don't think I'll have the time, but when I did start the acting, I really loved it. And I knew that I needed to get much more training because it is acting. Funny enough, when I took my first acting lesson, I was a bit cocky. I was like, acting, anyone can do it.
Right.
You do a line 20 times and one of them will be fine. So the first time they pick and choose people, they put you on a pretend stage and they go, so in my case was, you're the husband, that's your wife, you just had a fight. So go. So the guy says go, and then I turn around and I see this lady turn into my wife, but really, and I was like, whoa, there is such a thing as acting. So it was quite a humbling experience where I was just mumbling and saying stupidities, and she entered in the role of a caring wife that is upset that I've done something bad, etc. And that's when I started saying, okay, there's respect for this art form because it is something.
Right. But I also felt that it was kind of slow for me to realize that. At first, when I was starting to do it, I didn't take any classes, and I just saw this person as another person standing right next to me. How can I yell at them? How can I get angry at them? Or how am I supposed to be emotionally attached to them?
That's impossible. How do you do that? No, absolutely.
Just imagine that they stole your dream.
Right. It takes a while, and then I have to yell at them and then apologize at the end. I'm so sorry for everything I said.
So no, it was interesting. And I was, again, because of a few friends of mine that worked in production in Montreal, I would either, they would call me on movie sets and I would just go hang out and see what's going on. And I was always fascinated by it.
So after the classes, what was your first role?
I actually got a theater role, played in the play of Mozart, Amadeus. I had a speaking role. I was shocked. Like, it wasn't a big role, just a few minutes, but still. And the funny part is, as we're doing this play, most of the people there are professional actors, and before I would go on stage, I would look at the people and say, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah.
La, 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 la.
By the way, I played Mozart at school.
Did you?
Really?
The connections.
Too many
Colleagues.
notes?
The connections.
Colleague. Would you ever take back someone who cheated?
Whoa, yeah. So
That's
we
a
just
very-
totally
Boom.
switched gears right here. Yeah. Drop the bomb.
No matter if it's like a friend, boyfriend. Friend.
I'm
or
a forgiving
just,
person.
Business
personal life or
partner. I don't
something.
say
Yeah.
anything. I guess
Yeah.
it's very vague.
It's a good question. I'm a forgiving person, but I don't forget things. So it really depends of the circumstances. And I've been in situations where bad things have happened, and I may have been at times the one that has done bad things as well. So I like to think that some people were kind to me, and I try to return that back. But it's based on circumstances and what happens and who and why.
He didn't answer.
No, the PR.
It's the PR relations going on right there.
I'd like to say that no.
Rafi, I think it's time for the crayon question.
Crayon. Oh, yeah, yeah. So, if you were a Crayola crayon, because they're very creative with their names, you know, like burnt sienna, sunset over Wolf Village, you know, like what would be that color? What would be your color, and what would it be called?
Armin.
That's it.
No, what color would it be? My God, it would
As
be
good as it gets.
No. I think it would.
Too good to be true.
Don't take me seriously, please. I think it would be. I'm a weird person. I'm part shy, part very confident, and it would be either something that changes colors. So it would be a dynamic color, and then
Right.
it could also be very transparentish on a certain side. And the name of it, I don't know, mystery, enigma, or something.
Ooh, I like that one. Enigma.
Mantra.
Possibly.
We have like our last question, or maybe you have a question to ask us.
No, I'm enjoying this. It's not often that I get questioned.
Honestly,
You see
the
time
time flew
fly.
by.
Is it over?
Yeah, it's
I know.
5 to 10 right now.
And I don't want you to go. Can we have another hour?
Anytime. My God, I have to thank you both. This has been really fun.
We
No,
talked
the pleasure
to you.
was ours. Yeah, it was really great talking.
Honestly, I can't believe it's been an hour.
Neither can I, to be honest. I think we actually talked through several commercial breaks.
Only one.
Only one.
But you don't have to say that on air. This was Homesick at Home show. We had one of the best episodes tonight, I promise, with Armin. I hope you enjoyed this evening. We'll be here next Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Rafi Jan, take care of your back.
Thank you very much, Ina. And I'm going to go see Homesick.
Hasmik, yeah.
Yes.
I'll set you up. She is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Yeah.
Yerevan.
And make sure, if you missed this awesome episode, go on our page, Homesick at Home, and watch and listen it. The recording.
We'll see you guys there.
Bye-bye.